My fiancé laughed while his father called me a gold digger during our engagement dinner. So I quietly handed back the ring and walked out. I'm 28, and last night I walked out on my fiancé, 30, after what was supposed to be our engagement celebration. Right now, I'm sitting alone in my apartment, still wearing the dress from that evening. Mascara running down my face, trying to process everything that happened. Alex and I met 3 years ago at a charity fundraiser. He works in finance, comes from old money, and moves in circles far removed from the world I grew up in. I'm a public school teacher who paid her own way through college with scholarships and part-time jobs. Despite our different upbringings, we connected instantly. He was smart, engaging, and seemed to admire my independence and passion for teaching. I fell for him quickly, and he appeared just as devoted to me. 2 weeks ago, he proposed during a weekend getaway by the coast. It was intimate, thoughtful, and everything I'd imagined. I said yes immediately. The ring, an emerald-cut diamond, was beautiful and clearly expensive. I was overjoyed, completely certain about our future together. Last night was our formal engagement dinner with his family at Lujardin, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. I had met his parents a few times before, but I always felt uneasy around his father, Edward, a strict investment banker with a cold, commanding presence. His mother, Cynthia, was polite but distant, the kind of woman who measures worth by social circles and family heritage. I spent hours getting ready, wanting to make a good impression. I wore a navy dress I'd saved 3 months to afford, styled my hair neatly, and borrowed pearl earrings from my roommate. I just wanted them to see me as someone worthy of their son. The evening began pleasantly enough. Champagne was poured, and everyone offered their congratulations. Alex held my hand under the table, squeezing it gently when I seemed nervous. Then, during the main course, Edward cleared his throat and looked directly at me. "So, Claire," he said, swirling his wine, "now that you're officially joining the family, we should discuss the prenuptial agreement." The table went silent. "Dad, we haven't even set a date yet," Alex said quickly, trying to ease the tension. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves." Edward's expression hardened. "Nonsense. These matters are best settled early. The Bennett family assets must be protected." I felt my face flush. "I understand the importance of that," I replied carefully. "I have no objection to a fair prenup." Cynthia gave a thin smile. "How practical of you. You've certainly landed on your feet, haven't you?" Edward continued, his tone sharper. "A school teacher marrying into the Bennett fortune. Your mother must be very proud." "My mother passed away when I was 19, I said quietly. Alex knew that. His parents knew that. She would have wanted me to be happy. Edward gave a low chuckle. "I'm sure she would. Nothing makes a mother prouder than seeing her daughter secure a wealthy husband." I glanced at Alex, waiting for him to say something, anything, to defend me, but he just stared down at his plate. "I didn't say yes to Alex because of his money," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "I love him." "Of course you do, dear," Cynthia replied, her tone overly sweet. "The money is just a nice bonus, isn't it?" Edward laughed, a hard, dismissive sound that cut through the room. "Let's not be naive. Pretty young women from modest backgrounds don't pursue men like my son for their personality." I felt like I'd be— "Excuse me, Dad," Alex finally spoke, though his tone was weak. "What?" Edward challenged. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. She's a gold digger. a rather obvious one at that. And then it happened. Alex laughed. Just a small, awkward chuckle. Maybe nervous, maybe forced. But it wasn't a denial. He didn't defend me. He laughed. In that moment, everything inside me went silent. I looked at Alex, the man I thought I knew, and realized I was seeing him clearly for the first time. His silence said more than any words could. Without a word, I slipped the ring off my finger and placed it next to his water glass. The soft clink of diamond against crystal was louder than anything else in that room. "Claire," he started, realizing what was happening. But I stood up, took my purse, and walked out. Not running, not crying, just walking, one step after another, my head held high. I didn't look back, not even when I heard him call my name. Now, sitting here in my apartment, I keep wondering if I overreacted, if I ruined my future over one bad dinner. But then I remember his laugh, and I know I couldn't have stayed. Was I wrong? Should I have tried harder? Or am I only proving his father right by walking away? I don't know what comes next. I just know I can't marry into a family that sees me as less than, or a man who won't stand up for me when it matters most. It's been 3 days since I walked out of that restaurant, and my emotions have been all over the place. Alex showed up at my apartment the very next morning. I was still in my pajamas, eyes swollen from crying, when I heard the knocking. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but I needed closure. I needed to understand. When I opened the door, he looked terrible, unshaven, tired, with dark circles under his eyes. In one hand, he held the ring. In the other, a bouquet of roses. Typical Alex, trying to fix deep problems with surface gestures. "Please," he said quietly, "let me explain." I stepped aside and let him in, but kept my arms crossed tightly across my chest, guarding myself. "I'm sorry about last night," he began. "My father was completely out of line. He'd had too much to drink, and you know how he gets." "Do I?" I asked. "Because in the 3 years we've been together, you never once mentioned that he thinks I'm some kind of gold digger." "Yes, Alex," I said firmly. "He does, and what hurts more than his words is that you sat there and let him say them. You laughed." He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "It was just nervous laughter. What was I supposed to do? Start an argument in the middle of Lujardin? You were supposed to defend me." My voice cracked as I spoke. "You were supposed to tell him that I'm the woman you love, that I've never asked you for money, that I've worked hard for everything I have. You were supposed to stand by me." He placed the ring on my coffee table. "I am on your side, Claire. Always. I love you. My father's opinion doesn't matter." "But it does matter," I said quietly. "It matters because you're letting him disrespect me. It matters because one day we might have children, and I won't let them grow up hearing their grandfather call their mother a gold digger while their father says nothing." He looked genuinely confused. "Silent agreement? That's not what happened." "Then what would you call it?" I asked. He couldn't answer. "Has your father always felt this way about me?" I pressed. Alex hesitated, and that pause told me everything. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked softly. "Because it doesn't matter what he thinks," he said. "I love you for you, your kindness, your passion for teaching, your ridiculous obsession with true crime podcasts. Who cares what my father thinks?" "I care," I said simply, "because his attitude shows what our future would look like. Every holiday, every family dinner, I'd always be the gold digger who married into the Bennett fortune, and you'd be the man who let it happen." He shook his head. "We can fix this. I'll talk to him. I'll make him apologize. We can postpone the wedding until things calm down. I looked at him, really looked, and realized something. This isn't just about your father, Alex. It's about you. It's about who you become when you're around him. I don't recognize that person, and I can't marry him. He left after an hour of going in circles, taking the ring with him. The next 2 days were rough. I cried, doubted myself, then remembered his laugh, and my resolve grew stronger. My roommate Taylor has been a lifesaver, showing up with ice cream and listening to me vent endlessly. Alex has called 17 times. Surprisingly, his mother texted me, "Edward can be difficult, but he'll come around. Don't throw away your future over pride." As if standing up for myself was about pride. Yesterday, my principal called me into her office. Apparently, Edward had contacted the school board, claiming to have concerns about my emotional stability and professionalism. Thankfully, my principal has known me for 5 years and immediately dismissed his interference, telling him my personal life wasn't his concern. Knowing that Alex's father tried to damage my career only confirmed I'd made the right decision. It made me wonder, if this is what he's willing to do now, what would marriage have looked like? What lines would he have crossed then? I haven't told Alex about his father's actions. Part of me wants to see whether he finds out and how he reacts. So far, nothing. Tonight, Taylor and I are opening a bottle of wine and hosting a Burn the Wedding magazines night. It's both freeing and sad. I did love Alex, maybe I still do. But I'm learning that love isn't enough if someone won't stand beside you when it matters most. The hardest part has been facing questions from friends and coworkers. Everyone keeps asking what happened, why things ended so suddenly. I've kept my answers simple, saying we realized we wanted different things. It's easier than explaining that the man I thought I'd marry sat in silence while his father insulted me and even laughed. My sister called from California after I told her what happened. She wasn't surprised. "I always thought he cared too much about pleasing his parents," she said. "Remember when he changed his Christmas plans because his mother said she'd be devastated if he didn't come home? People show you who they are, Claire. You just have to pay attention." She was right. Looking back, there were signs all along. Small moments where Alex prioritized his parents' wishes over ours. I brushed them off as him being a good son, but now I see it for what it was. An inability to stand on his own, to make independent choices. Yesterday, I passed a bridal boutique and saw a dress in the window that looked just like the one I bookmarked for myself. For a moment, that wave of loss hit me, not just for Alex, but for the future we planned, the home, the children, the life that now only exists in an alternate version of our story, where he chose differently. But then, I remembered the way Edward looked at me when he called me a gold digger, cold, dismissive, as if I were beneath him. And I remembered Alex's laugh, quiet but devastating. No, I made the right decision, and maybe one day, when the pain fades, Alex will see it too. It's been 2 weeks since I ended my engagement, and things are finally starting to feel calmer. I've gone back to teaching, and there's something quietly healing about spending my days with my third graders, helping them sound out tricky words and watching them light up when they finally get it. It reminds me that life can still feel simple, even when my own emotions are anything but. I haven't spoken to Alex in 10 days. After dozens of missed calls and unanswered texts, he finally sent an email that made it painfully clear where we stood. He wrote that he still loves me, but thinks I'm being unnecessarily dramatic about one uncomfortable dinner. He suggested we take a break until I'm ready to be reasonable, as if standing up for my dignity was unreasonable. The most revealing part came at the end of his message. My family has certain expectations, Claire. They've sacrificed a lot to give me the life I have. Sometimes compromise means accepting imperfect situations for the greater good. Reading between the lines was easy. The greater good meant his inheritance, his position at his father's firm, his social standing. I was expected to be the one compromising. My self-respect, my peace, my sense of worth, so he wouldn't have to challenge his father. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say that hadn't already been said. Then, 3 days ago, something unexpected happened. A call from Cynthia, Alex's mother. She asked if we could meet for coffee, just the two of us. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe, far from her usual upscale haunts. She looked different this time, less composed, almost weary. She ordered a black coffee and sat across from me with her hands folded neatly on the table. "I owe you an apology, Claire," she said without hesitation. "What happened at that dinner was unacceptable. I was caught off guard. It was the last thing I expected from her. Edward can be traditional in his views," she continued carefully, "and Alex has always sought his approval, often at his own expense." "I noticed," I replied softly. She gave a faint smile. "I should have stepped in that night. I've spent 30 years smoothing over Edward's behavior, excusing it." I was wrong not to say something. I studied her face, unsure of what prompted this sudden honesty. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. She sighed, a long, tired sound that seemed to carry years of resignation. "Because I see myself in you, Claire. 30 years ago, I was you. From a modest background, in love with a Bennett man, trying to prove I belonged. The difference is, I stayed. I compromised. I told myself it was worth it." She paused, her gaze distant. "I'm not sure it was." Something inside me tightened. "Are you unhappy?" I asked quietly. "Not unhappy," she said slowly, "but not entirely myself either. I've had a privileged life, beautiful children, security, comfort, but somewhere along the way, I lost my voice. When you stood up and walked out that night, I felt something I haven't felt in years: envy." We ended up talking for nearly 2 hours. She shared stories about her early years with Edward, how his family treated her, how she slowly learned to silence her own opinions to keep the peace. Listening to her, I understood that what she called compromise had really been surrender, piece by piece, over decades. When we finally said goodbye, she touched my hand lightly and said, "You did the right thing. Don't doubt it." That conversation stayed with me. For the first time since the dinner, I felt something like clarity. Walking away wasn't an act of pride or impulsiveness. It was self-respect. Alex will probably see it differently. He might even believe that I gave up too easily, or that I chose independence over love. Maybe, in a way, I did. But the truth is, love that requires silence in the face of disrespect isn't love I want. Life feels uncertain now, but also lighter. I still pass places that remind me of him. The park where we used to run. The cafe where he'd meet me after work. But the ache is softer each time. I don't know what my future looks like yet, but I know this: I would rather start over alone than spend a lifetime proving my worth to people who refuse to see it.